Hi there, it's Pete. Welcome back up to the loft. Tonight I'm featuring the Class 67 locomotive, but in front of you can actually see a 47-4. These were used on the Royal Mail trains, but they were getting a bit old, unreliable and slow compared with what EWS wanted for them. EWS then put out a contract, and they were built in Spain. They've basically got Class 66 engines in them, but obviously they're geared very differently, and they also have electric train heating fitted to them, so they can work passenger chains if required. Now there's the very first of the 67s here. It came over to Newport docks, and they gradually came in on about 5 per ship over a few years. Unfortunately, they dropped one onto the dock, and it was so badly damaged it had to be taken back to Spain and rebuilt into a new one. Now the Class 67s were actually set for 125 mile an hour running, which is quite fast for diesels of that time. Obviously the HST would do that, but it was only other electrics that could go that speed. And as such, they were quite a successful locomotive. They were reliable. They think they were well liked by the crews. The cabs were nice places to work in, and they proved quite successful. But unfortunately, EWS lost the Royal Mail contract, which I think was very short-sighted of Royal Mail, because all it did was put loads of lorries on the roads, increased pollutions, and I don't think it helped their services or improved it. Maybe you think different than me. Now, they were originally in this EWS red and yellow livery, though some have been painted in DB livery. There were some in silver, some are in purple for Royal Train duties, which is something else that is going soon, unfortunately. They were also used for rail tours and things like that. I actually went on a rail tour with one of them down to Kingswear on a DB red one. It's the one that had the Canadian symbol on the side of it. It looked very spectacular. It was immaculate, and the running at the speeds they could do was very impressive indeed. Now, these locomotives were actually only allocated to crew, and there were 30 of them. I have managed to see all 30, which I'm pleased about, but they did get around. But they did come down to Bristol, to the mail centre that was by Parkway Station. It's now shut down, obviously, when they lost the Royal Mail contract. And they used to reverse into there with a driving carriage on the front of called a PCV, on the front of the train, and the locomotive on the back, and either load or unload. Over there you can see some of the Rail Express Systems coaches. They were heavily modified by BR, putting roller shutter doors in that made them easier to use forklifts and pallets to load up the mail, which was much better than the previous system where they used to have brute trolleys loaded with bags and basically throw it into the sides of a mail coach. We did have one notable accident in Bristol where a Class 67 was out at Parkway Station and unfortunately ran out of control down to the slope, down Ashley Down, and into Lawrence Hill Station, where it hit the back of a stationary coal train, which was outside the waiting to go through Templemead Station. It was waiting at red signals. Now, it hit it so hard that the locomotive actually mounted the back of the coal hoppers, and then the whole lot was wedged against the road bridge, was at the end of it. It was a hell of a mess, and it took an awful lot of work by Network Rail and BR engineers to get it out of there, repair the damage to the track, and remove all of this. I believe the fault was not a brake failure, but something to do with the procedure of valves on brakes that they wasn't applied properly. I think it was poor training they put it down to. They exonerated the poor driver, which is good because unfortunately he was injured in the crash. Luckily, not fatal, and I believe he made a full recovery afterwards, which is nice to hear. These are also used on the Royal Train. They have two painted in purple. But unfortunately, the Royal Train is actually going to go over the next few years, which is quite sad because we've had a Royal Train for well over 100 years, since Queen Victoria's day, in fact. But some of them have found further use with Transport for Wales, running their 5-coach trains from Cardiff Central up to Holyhead via Crewe, and they're very highly thought of, these trains. They use Mark IV stock that they got from the Eastern region, from the LNER franchise. They're in very good condition, and people like them. They actually contain a buffet car, which is very rare these days, and very good first-class compartment, and also really good access for people in wheelchairs, which is something that needs doing these days. So it's good to hear. I believe they have 5 or 6 of these that they use on these trains, and this is the original livery, of which I think 3 are still painted in this colour. This is the one I prefer, but they've also painted them in black. Not quite sure about that. I'm sure some people like it, so it's only an opinion, like all these things. Now I'm going to drive the 67 out through the station so you can see the stock. These models are all Hornby and comes from the time when they were producing some very good rolling stock, especially these Mark IV coaches. As you can see, it has 4 of them, and then it has a DVT on the back, so that they don't need to run round when they get to the opposite end of the line, and they can just run it backwards. It's a nice model, and I'm very pleased with it. Now, one of my 67s was sound fitted. It had the Hornby TTS decoder in it, and I was going to put it to run tonight, but unfortunately the decoder went bang 2 weeks ago. It started making strange noises. The locomotive was jerking backwards and forwards, and suddenly a load of smoke came out of it. I've never been impressed with these TTS decoders. They are cheap and nasty. I only have one left, which is in a black 5, which funny enough seems to be all right. That's probably put a kiss of death onto it now, hasn't it? But I'd probably replace it with a ESOU lock sound with a nice sound decoder profile on it. Hope you've enjoyed this brief profile of the 67s. I haven't gone into great detail because I quite honestly don't know that much about it. I only know the few things I've got from train spotting days, visiting Crewe, Bristol Temple Meads, etc. Now, if you could like, subscribe, comment, and give this video the thumbs up, I'd be very pleased. It does make a difference to the channel and to me. And remember, subscribing doesn't cost anything. So thank you very much, and good night from Hermitage Road.